Anyway, let's try this on for size. So, hello YouTube. There's this cartoon apparently that's called The Amazing Digital Circus. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's a small obscure indie series. I don't think people are really talking about it. I found it just digging around these random tiny YouTube channels that no one's ever heard about, and I figured, you know what? Maybe I found a gem that no one else has discovered yet, and there's something worth talking about. No, actually, I'm making a joke here because like the first episode of this fucking show has something like 220 million views, which is genuinely fucking bonkers to me. So I guess I should probably take a look at it and try and figure out what's up with it. Now, I am a 2D animation boy. Ironic for a man who represents himself with a 3D model, but I am a 2D guy. That's my main... That's my first love. Like, I do love me some good 3D animation, but 2D animation has always been my first love. It's what I know the most about. It's what I'm most interested in talking about. So I know a little bit less about 3D animation, so... Who knows? I don't know if I'm going to have as much to say about something like The Amazing Digital Circus as I do about, say, The Hell of a Bosses or anime for that matter. But I guess we're about to find out. So I'm not committing to the whole show, at least not right now. But we'll take a look at one episode, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the first thing about this, by the way, I should mention this right up front. This style of 3D rendering, like this specific way of like modeling a tree, modeling hills, modeling a circus tent out of these shapes, right? This is a specific vibe, but this reads to me like the work of someone who has seen the original opening cinematic for the Bullfrog game theme park. Right? That it reads like that to me. Like, this is someone who was present, like who has studied at the very least the animation that was present at that very specific moment in the late 90s. Like, not even like the 2000s I think would be too late, but the late 90s specifically, when 3D animation software was just becoming commercially available, like not just to like major studios like Pixar and Disney, but it was just starting to become available to smaller studios, like smaller game developers, like with Silicon Graphics machines were sort of starting to enter the secondary market and starting to become available to marketing and ad agencies and like things like that, because this is the era when we saw that explosion of like, which I don't know a lot about The Amazing Digital Circus, but I do remember hearing or reading somewhere at some point that the aesthetic style of the show was inspired by like that specific kind of late 90s edutainment CD game thing that you would get in like a fucking cereal box or whatever when you were a kid, like the ones, 5,000 of them down at the local Walmart or whatever, right? Where they'd be like this little multimedia CD thing with like there's some characters and some little mini games, and it's like the thing you give to children, right? Because you don't really know what the fuck computer games are. Which was like 3D animation created by people who were very much in the early stages of figuring out what is even remotely possible within the confines of 3D animation, like with very early versions of stuff like Maya. Well, was Maya even later than that, actually? It might have been even later. Like the very, very, very early with like, and that's one thing, like the kind of, on those CDs, you would get a mixture. You would get a mixture of pre-rendered cinematics, right? Like, which would be compressed down to a video file and put on the CD, and they would play little sequences or little animated snippets or whatever when you completed a game on the thing or whatever. And that shit would be crunched to hell in terms of bitrate. Like, really just like compressed beyond the scope of comprehensibility, right? And one thing I'm not seeing here is I'm not seeing compression artifacts in that same way. There are aliasing, right? Like, we can see the aliasing that's happening around the things, but I'm not seeing that specific sort of late 90s vibe, digital compression on like very early streaming video on CDs. Like, they're not replicating that. So like, it's maybe not completely faithful to think, but that's not a criticism, that's just an observation. But what I'm getting at is, you see the way they handle the volume of these 3D objects, right? Like hills, well, these are clearly just spheres that are sort of clipping into each other with like a texture applied over top of them. That's pretty fucking authentic to how they used to do it that back then. Trees, well, they're just kind of like brown sticks with these like spheres that have been sort of distended and globuled out a little bit. Very authentic to the kind of way that you might render trees in that very limited animation software. Same thing with the circus tent, that it's basically just like this series of cylinders where you've extruded wedges and then like projected stripe textures on top of, with there's like there's no sense of construction, right? Like in the way that there would be with more modern 3D, where things are constructed from their constituent elements in order to provide like the illusion of the object. These are functionally symbolic objects. Like it's a little bit like the difference between, you know, that like when a child draws a drawing of like, here's the house and here's mom and here's dad and here's a tree, and the house is like a little box with like a triangle on top of it and a smokestack coming out, a chimney coming out of it, no matter what it is, right? And the tree is a stick with some green stuff, just kind of, it's kind of that, right? Like it's this extremely simplified symbolic approach to form and volume that's necessary when you just don't have tools that feel like they can do things that are more complicated than that. But then there's this little thing that the background, the skybox here, seems to be a photograph that's compressed and then projected into the skybox. And that too is like, maybe not necessarily exactly that era, but using compressed photographs in that way, very much also a sign of the times. But the thing I noticed was like the thing that they do, right? Like they fucking do the Galaxy Quest. If you're familiar with that move, they do the aspect ratio change. And I think, oh my god, really? Lol, okay, that's funny. That's funny to me specifically. You see how the aspect ratio change is animated on alternating frames? The aspect ratio change is animated on 2s. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. But they do the Galaxy Quest thing, right? Like where we start in the perspective of this is the way that the 4:3 ratio that you might have seen it displayed at on your monitor, your shitty CRT monitor in like your parents' office back in the late 90s when you were playing around with that multimedia CD that they got as a bonus from a magazine they picked up while out on a shopping trip or whatever. And then we do the Galaxy Quest thing where we extend the ratio and then through the looking glass, quite literally, right? Like we enter into the full, not quite 4K, but the 2K rendering of this universe, retaining all of the same physics, retaining all of the same limitations, right? Because part of the point of, and like a real change in color as well, lighting, part of the point of doing these volumes so simply back then, right, was that this shit was going to be so fucking compressed on the screen anyway, right? Like part of the reason why they render trees in such incredibly simple ways, volumes, is because that shit was going to be on monitors that were like 480 by 360 or whatever, right? Like these tiny little crunched down CRT monitors with like scanline filters and CRT glow and God knows what else. And people, like, it was going to be crunched so badly that there was no point rendering better detail. Right? Like, who cares? Like, doesn't matter. Because you can't really see it on that level of monitor. Like, so you could get away with these little fudges a lot more. Like having a tree, which is not a thing that is like made of branches at least, but just like a blobby lump of clay that you've sort of pressed some bumps into. You can get away with that because the low rendering resolution and like the crunch of it all would cover up for a lot of that. And sort of like just the very texture, like the corruption of the compression itself would introduce a bunch of like texture and like you get away with a lot. So there's a real, so like this feels very authentic to back then. And then this is like, you know those videos that show up every once in a while on the internet? It was like, this person recreated Mario 64 in Unreal Engine. And it's like Mario 64, but all of the textures are hyper realistic and all the lighting is incredibly like fucking bloom and ray tracing and screen space reflections and all that shit. Nintendo hire this man shit. It's a little bit that. Like the effect is a little bit similar to that, where it's like this aesthetic which was built for this format, this resolution, this crunch. All of a sudden, you try and blow that up into Ultra HD ray tracing 4K, and it becomes uncanny, right? Like, all of a sudden, it looks wrong. It looks weird. Oh, that's the wrong button. It looks weird. It looks unreal and kind of dreamlike in a way that it didn't back when it was, like, appropriate to its constraints. And you can literally see that happen, like the way the color temperature changes, the way the light, like all of a sudden these trees have fucking ambient occlusion and cast shadows. You can see the same thing on the texture on like the letters themselves, right? Like that they all of a sudden change the vibe and feeling of their reflectivity quite substantially. You can even see the fucking shadow. You can see the shadow appearing next to the entrance to the circus tent over here even. And there's a real, like, one thing they've captured very well is the uncanniness of that. Because even though the camera is moving through this 3D space, right, and moving past the hills and all that, look how the skybox just stays in place. It doesn't move because it's a static projection on the backdrop of whatever the camera is observing. So the skybox does not move relative to the motion of the camera, and it looks weird because that's not really how it's supposed to look in real life. That's well captured, I think. Anyway, what were we doing? Right, we were watching the show.
Welcome to the amazing digital circus! My name is Kane. I'm your ringmaster, and I'm here to show you the most jaw-dropping, heart-stopping, mind-bending paraphernalia you've ever laid your eyes upon! Isn't that right, Bubble?
That's right, Kane. I can't wait to see what you've got cooking up for today.
Well, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into the show!
Okay. So, you know that we're going to have to go back here again, right? So one thing, here's my first piece of criticism. If this is consistent across Glitch's output, just listen to me say it now, and just imagine me saying it every 5 to 10 seconds for every episode of everything of theirs I ever watch forever. I hate motion blur! I hate motion blur. I hate it. I hate motion blur. I hate motion blur so much. Motion blur is my deepest... Oh, shit. That's the wrong hotkey. Is my deepest, darkest enemy. I despise motion blur. Motion blur is the tool of the devil by which he corrupts the souls of the faithful. Motion blur is the worst. I hate motion blur. Motion blur is bad. Motion blur is shit. Motion blur is garbage for terrible people. Hyperbolically speaking. Like, I understand perfectly its utility, its function.
Welcome to the amazing...
Right, because on Kane, I guess is his name's fast movements here, the motion blur helps smooth that out. It helps add a little bit to that sense of verisimilitude. I have always found it incredibly annoying. I hate it in 3D animation. I hate it in my video games. I turn it off. The first thing I do anytime I play any video game that's in 3D, anything 2D, I check the options menu and is there motion blur? Can I turn it off? If the answer is no, I get upset. I hate motion blur. I don't like it. Like, I understand its utility. I understand the way that it can act as motion smoothing. I understand the way that it can act as like something that blends frames together quite nicely. It can do a lot of good things in 3D animation. I understand its utility, but I hate it. And I'm going to say it right now. I do not understand why they would use it for this show. Like, maybe Glitch, like, they probably have their reasons. Maybe they just like how it looks. It's fine. I don't understand why you would use it for this, because the function of motion blur... So, like, motion blur is emulation, which is to say, what motion blur is designed to do, it is designed to emulate what happens in a real camera when you're taking pictures of something that's moving fast, or the camera is, like, whip panning around. When you do that in a real camera, because the camera has a finite frame rate and only captures so many images, and there's processing, right? The camera's image becomes blurred. It's a thing that happens in real cameras, especially on real film. It's not a thing that just happens because things move fast, right? Which is what you can see when you look at a high-speed camera and every frame of something moving fast is crystal clear. It's an emulation of an effect that exists only in real cameras in real life. That's what it is. And so part of its aesthetic function, in my opinion, is to give 3D animation a sense of realism. Like, that's where it is most effective, in my opinion, is when you have 3D animation that is not necessarily being, like, hyper-realistic or photorealistic, but which is trying for a realistic feeling, right? Like, if you're doing 3D animation where you're doing, like, handheld camera moves or whatever, or something that's set in the real world with real people going through real things, their motion blur can add that sense of verisimilitude. It can do something good for like the vibe of the thing. I don't understand why you would use it for this. For this. Like for this world. For something that's constructed like this, for characters that are built like that, and especially for, like, that's the thing about, especially for big, loud, like, motion-smeared, cartoony movements like this. I don't understand why you would use motion blur for that. Like, to me, this is like using motion blur on a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon. It's like, no, the point is to see, like, the point is that the artist draws the character in a way that approximates blurring. You don't add motion blur on top of that. Anime does this too all the time. There's lots of anime that uses motion blur on movement, and I hate it. I hate it. That's not the point. That's like, that's not the point of it. It's not what it's for. It's for realism, for a verisimilitudinous emulation of what a real camera does. It's not for this. Leave it alone. If you want to smear the character, then break the model. You're clearly capable of it. Break the model. Smear the character with animation smears, not with motion blur smears, because this is ugly. It's terrible. It looks horrible. Anyway, that's my criticism of motion blur. If they continue to do this, just imagine that I give you this rant again at the start of every episode of everything of theirs I ever watch, and now I'm gonna shut up about it. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna attempt to shut up about it. Because I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. Because I can't see what he's doing. They're clearly doing something cool with his character model here. Like breaking and smearing and stretching him out, and I can't see it. It annoys me. Anyway, really cool character design, this guy. I will say. A genuinely really cool character design. Like, the idea of having a giant mouth with the eyes inside to constitute the face is just... That's just good, interesting character design. And that it's, like, wobbly googly eyes that sort of roll around and bounce on their own. If you want the guy to just seem a little bit deranged by default, having an uncentered eyeline is often a very good way to do that. Heterochromia, too, of course. Got a Tumblr sexy man in the making here. That's quite clever. And I assume, I feel like I saw this, that for the expression of the character, they're basically going to be deforming the rows of teeth, right? To sort of form... Yeah, like they're using the upper row of teeth to approximate the motion of the eyelids. And then also... That's actually very, very impressive from an animation perspective. So in order to be expressive with this guy, they are using the upper row of teeth and deforming that, number one, to form the motion of his eyebrows, which is what's going to give him expression when he doesn't have like a mouth in the traditional sense to smile. He doesn't have eyebrows to sort of occlude his eyes and give him frowny face or whatever. So they're going to have to do that with the upper row of teeth, right, to approximate his eyebrows. Then the lower row of teeth is going to alternately have to constitute his lower eyelid. So if he wants to squint at something, that's going to have to be the lower row of teeth coming up to occlude the lower half of the eye. But it's also going to have to be his lower jaw. Like, it's also going to have to be the thing that informs, like, the lip flaps. So animating this mouth of teeth, which should be rigid, I should say, to both act as the character's expression, like their static facial expression, and lip syncing with it, essentially, because, like, you can see that they're not doing traditional lip syncing in the sense that the mouth never actually fully closes, right? Like, they don't fully snap the jaw shut, at least not in this sequence here. So what they're doing, instead, you can see them forming the vowels.
This is Kane. I'm your ringmaster, and I'm here to show you the most jaw-dropping, heart-stopping, mind-bending paraphernalia.
Oh, there's a snap. Okay, so they limit the snaps because bending is a plosive, right? Like what's it called? Bilabial plosive. And in order to form a B, bending, right? Drop ping, P's and B's, you have to close your lips. Like there's unless you are a ventriloquist, there's very little you can do to form those sounds without closing your lips. So for bending here, instead they do a little, like, they approximate the teeth. You can see, like, they close it down a little, bending. And then for the P, it seems like they kind of go, okay, we need to actually fully close to have the plosive. So paraphernalia, we get like the full shut and then pop back open. And that's going to be a difficult balance to walk, because if you closed the mouth completely for every plosive, for every bilabial approximant and whatever, then it would be very hard to maintain the character's expression. Like, if he was closing the mouth completely on every one of those sounds, that would probably disturb his expression quite a lot. That's an interesting challenge to fucking take on as an animator, to try and make something like this work. Like, this is not for casuals, I will say.
Amazing digital circus!
And just the fact that even though the mouth cannot actually lip sync, that you still get the sense of lip sync, that the character's actually...
Amazing digital circus! My name is Kane!
Right, my name is Kane! You still get that acting choice of the guy, because you get the attitude of him, right? Like, which is just all posture. Where you can see he's cocking his head to the side, and he's like sort of looking up a little bit. There's a proudness to it. My name is Kane. And they're still somehow managing, just by controlling the lower lip flap very carefully and occasionally forming vowel sounds. That's the other thing. They form vowel sounds a lot, right? You can see that, like,
Here to show you.
Right, show you. That's like a rounded lip forward. Yo, those sounds. They form those with, like, doing that rounded shape with the teeth, approximating the motion of lips. Show you the most jaw-dropping. Yeah.
The most jaw-dropping. Show you the most
Show you the most jaw-dropping. And then, like, there's the choices about, like, when to stop lip syncing, right? Like,
most jaw-dropping.
When he says jaw-dropping, obviously we can't do any lip sync here. The more I look at this, the more angry I get about the fucking motion smear, the motion blur. Because, like, look, they're smearing the 3D model as they transition him, like, this snappy motion. You can see how they're deforming the 3D model. I want to see it. I want to see it clearly. Mind-bending paraphernalia you've ever laid your eyes. I do love that little, like, very Genie, very Aladdin in that sense. Spinning him around himself and then resolving that little motion. So he twists himself up. He twists himself up. There's a little break, and then zoop, it follows around. That's very good. Very fun, very funny anticipation. We anticipate the motion of grabbing the hat by simply withdrawing the arm into the body, and then zoop. And then to do the flip, he rapidly retracts it, flips it in the... That's very clever.
Isn't that right, Bubble?
That's right, Kane.
And then Pac-Man is here, I guess. Well, Pac-Man's edgelord cousin from Something Awful circa 2012, I think.
Kane, I can't wait to see what you've got cooking up for today.
Well, let's not...
I'm not seeing a breathing animation on him, but they are doing some little subtle things. Like, as... whatever the thing that was called. As that one's talking, you can see, like, the little shift in the eyes tracking the motion.
Well, let's not waste any time.
It really is genuinely impressive that they're managing to keep him expressive. Right, you can see, like, you get the sense of, and it's a lot with the body posture. That's going to be difficult in close-ups, isn't it? Like, when you're doing close-ups or medium shots where you don't get the whole body posture to work with. I would predict that his acting is always going to be at least, like, 20 to 30% more than everyone else's. Like his physical acting, because he's going to have to compensate for the lack of facial expression. Like he's, I think, anytime you're in a close-up or a middle close-up, he's going to have to act more. Like he's going to have to be more exaggerated than everyone else in order to make this work. Okay, that interior texturing, again, it's interesting. Because again, like we talked about, it's like, it's this Nintendo hire this man Peach's Castle in 4K, right? So it's subtle. Because normally, again, in the very early days of... We can actually just go back and look at it. In the very early days of 3D animation, if you had a texture, you would sort of just blanket project that onto the surface like a grass texture or something like that. But most of the time, you didn't really do textures as such. You just kind of did solid colors for your texture. Because again, with the compression and everything, like oftentimes there wasn't really that much of a point in doing any kind of realistic like cloth texturing or whatever, because it would just get lost in the compression anyway and take up a whole bunch of valuable like resources in the rendering farm to have to. So you just used base colors instead. It's hard to tell, but I think there is something a little bit more subtle going on with the texture projection on these, or it might just be because the lighting is doing it. But I do feel like I'm sensing a kind of surface texturing. I would want to get a closer look at that. The interior of this place, though, it's all made of toys, right? Like, that's the idea, is that this is a toy space. So this is like one of those marble obstacle course things you could build with like lots of tubes and things. When you were a kid, I used to spend so much fucking time on those.
That's all right, Kane. I can't wait to see what you
Sort of themed around a circus, but very much with like a marble obstacle course. Oh,
got
okay.
cooking up for today.
Well, let's not waste any time.
Yeah, let's not waste any time. What a funny thing to say on one of my reaction videos.
Let's get right into the show.
We are 32 seconds into this thing, and looking at the recording, this thing is already longer than the whole episode, so... Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff that happened there. Okay, first of all, people are horny for that rabbit. I don't know if like that thing. There are people who have gone absolutely fucking feral for whatever the fuck that is. I'll tell you that for free right now. So, made of ribbons, then. Right. And then, like, a theater mask over top of that. That's interesting. This one's more interesting, though, because this... Okay, so... The stereotypical late 90s design aesthetic is very much this, right? Like, lots of bright popping colors, like, sharp geometric angles, sort of eclectically shoved together in various ways. That's very much that sort of late 90s design aesthetic. Another thing about this is, like, if you look at early 3D video games, hell, even the ones that came a little... Like, Final Fantasy VII is an example of this, I think. When it came to doing character design, oftentimes, in order to construct characters, you can look back at those old models and see that the artists, as much as possible, were just kind of, here's one of the standard volumes that are available in this 3D modeling software, like a cone or a cylinder or a sphere or whatever, and they would make a lot of the character designs just out of, what if I extrude a cylinder? Then we have these legs, right? Like, what if I grab a cone and lengthen it, or like turn it into like a rhomboid? What if I grab a line and I just make it squiggly? That's very much the sort of design sensibility you'd get in a lot of early 3D character design, because animators, artists were still not really familiar with how much they could bend or break meshes and models. There were limitations in the rigging, right? Like how much you could rig a character model to be complex. Like even if you could build a realistic looking hand, building the rig to control all the fingers in the hand, that was not a solved problem. That was a difficult thing to do. So when you were trying to animate something very complicated, like very complicated volumes, you could get into all kinds of trouble with meshes attaching to things that they shouldn't attach to, or staying in place when they shouldn't, like not moving with the control points that you were using. And so there was a lot of pressure, like both from lack of knowledge, like lack of collective knowledge, and from just limitations in the software, put a lot of pressure on character designs, often to be built out of, like, not so much out of sculpting the character as a whole, but assembling the character out of available geometric shapes. I'm getting a little bit of that vibe from, I guess, Subel. Okay, so he has anxiety then, right? That's the pillow fort thing, is he has anxiety and he's scared of everything. Is that the vibe of that guy? It certainly seems to be with the eyes, that he has these huge staring eyes that are arranged like unstably. That's sort of when you have like eyes that are arranged that way, oftentimes that can be shorthand for an unstable personality. And then Raggedy Ann doll is just here. I guess those aren't copyrighted, which is interesting. I guess there's just a Raggedy Ann doll here, which is interesting. Wait, does she have individual fingers? Or no, okay, yeah, there is a little seam between them. I want to look at the texture on her hair, but I can't do that because there's motion blur. We'll get a close-up shot of her later. Kaufmo did not show up today. Okay, the teapot. Does everyone know the teapot? Do you all know the teapot? Do you all, like, does everyone understand the reference of the teapot? For those who don't, the teapot is one of the first 3D models that were ever created. Like, this specific one, I am 99% sure, is one of the first 3D models that was ever actually created, was a teapot that looks very much like that. And it's sort of a legendary little object of, it's like the Wilhelm scream, right? A lot of 3D animators, a lot of 3D animation productions will, just for fun, hide the model of the teapot somewhere in a shot or somewhere in the movie, just as a little callback to that, kind of like the Akira slide, right? Like it's a little thing that is foundational to the development of 3D modeling. And so I'm very tickled to see it show up here. I think that's very cute. It's very cute that they have the teapot. Right, so we're introducing the uncanniness, right? Like we're introducing the sort of the glitch thing, because obviously this is a glitch thing, which is getting further reinforced by this. I mean, this is a stage backdrop, right? Like where they're hanging these circles with clouds projected onto them. But just the way that they intersect and like occlude each other gives like a real uncanny vibe to the space. Interestingly, some somewhat more complex rendering of trees here. Like, these are not the same sticks with volumes layered on top of them that we saw in the opening, in the very start of the opening. And then there's the clown girl. Profile picture alert. Yeah, Jester, as if there's a difference, I say, offending all the clowns. Tomorrow I will find, like, a horse head with a lot of makeup on it in my bed next to me because the clown mafia has targeted me for elimination. do love the squash and stretch here, though, already. That's a good camera move. I like that. Are we doing voxels here, or is it... No, it's spheres. Okay. Oh, motion blur, my beloathed! And then there was this. Like, now we're introducing something else, which is physics, right? And this is a thing that's much more... Because what the flower pot is about to do, right? Right, it's experiencing a collision error, right? It lands on the ground, clips through, and then we get the classic sort of snapping to a weird direction and just vibrating as it rapidly sort of like collides its volume against vertices somewhere else, whatever. And that's very much, like, as someone says in chat right now, Gmod. Yeah, like, that's very much a sort of source engine sort of thing. Not exclusively, like physics errors like that are endemic in all kinds of, like, video games and things. But that's the thing. That's a video game thing. That's not really something you would ever see in, like, a TV show or a movie, or, but, like, probably the kind of error that might have happened behind the scenes when they tried to run some kind of early primitive physics simulation and things went wrong. But especially, like, in the early 90s, they wouldn't have these kinds of physics engines that could even do something like this. So that's an interesting new element to introduce into this. Like, now we're stepping out of that late 90s constraint, and then we're importing aesthetics and aesthetic conceits that only became available much, much later due to evolution in technology. Like, this is not something that a 3D animation engine from the late 90s would have even been capable of doing. Which is interesting. Like, that's an interesting thing to introduce, which I wonder if that's world building in some way? That rabbit knows what he is. Like, he knows what, like, that rabbit knows. It knows. He knows. He's doing it on purpose. Okay, so how are we treating the volume of the ribbon character? Oh, it is actually, the mask is actually, oh, that's cool. So the mask is actually, like, fully see-through. That's good. Oh. The mask is multiple masks. So as the expression changes, maybe it falls off? That's interesting. I was curious about how they were going to treat the volume of the character. It looks like they're mostly just treating it as though it is a volume, right? Like, as though this is a body that has, like, an anatomy, rather than collapsing around itself. It moves like a spring. That's interesting.
Kane, is this one of your NPCs, or is this a new sucker? Because if it's a new character, we're gonna have to redo this whole theme song.
I'm not doing that again.
My! It appears a new human has entered this realm!
How do I take this headset off?
Just keep grabbing at it. That worked for all of us.
Oh, we're doing isekai shit? Okay. Okay, detached eyebrows. I do like that. We've got the slit eyes. Very much in the mold. Like, because he's partly... His character design seems partly molded after, like, your old-timey rubber hose cartoon characters, right? Like, partly molded after, like, that style of thing. There's definitely also some Sam and Max, some, like, that specific style of American cartooning in there. I do like that we're not... He really has no option but to smile with his teeth, does he? they don't move, as far as I can tell. Again, motion blur, but they don't move underneath the volume of his skin. So it's like... So essentially, it's like he's like a skin suit that's stretched taut over like this yellowed, smooth sphere where the eyes are painted on and the teeth are just like these little lines that are painted on between. That's pretty cool. That's an interesting physicality.
We're gonna have to redo this whole theme song.
I'm not doing that again.
My! It appears a new human has entered this realm!
How do I take this headset off?
Just keep grabbing at it. That worked for all of us.
Oh, that's freaky. She's pulling at her cheek, and it's fully exposing... Oh my god, you can see right through her head.
What's going on? I put on some weird headset and now I'm here. Who are you people? Why can't I take it off? Where am I?
Let's just try to calm down.
Oh, she doesn't have individualized fingers. She has like mitten hands. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so she gets like a 2D projected mouth with like a shifting set of textures that then move independently, or well, dependently, I suppose, over the top of her. Yeah, so it's basically like new stickers are being slapped on her face with a new mouth expression every time she goes. And there's clearly a hard limit.
Let's just try to calm down.
Yeah, there's a pretty hard limit to exactly how many phonemes she can speak then. I wonder how fast they could make her talk with the animation. There would be a pretty hard limit if that's how you're swapping the mouth shapes. I wonder if those are all created in Blender and or whatever the animation, like if they're all created in the animation software and manipulated as objects on her face, or whether it's all texture manipulation here. Curious.
Where am I?
Let's just try to calm down. Everything's gonna be okay, new stuff. We've all...
Why did I lose the subtitles? Where did you go? Did I click a... Must have deactivated them somehow.
We've all been through this. You just need...
Oh, they're there. I zoomed in and I couldn't see them anymore, that's why.
Why
Dumbass.
can't I take it off? Where am I?
Let's just try to calm down. Everything's gonna be okay, new stuff. We've...
Yeah, no, isn't that just the vibe? That's the vibe, right? That's just kind of what waking up feels like nowadays.
We've all been through this.
Okay, so she doesn't have feet, which means she's moving essentially kind of like she's wearing high heels all the time. And she has to land her weight on her toes.
Everything's gonna be okay, new stuff. We've all been through this.
It gives her a slightly weightless gait, which is interesting.
New stuff. We've all been through this. You just need to get your head
What
to...
the is going on? What?
No, my dear. We can't have any of that foul language around here. The amazing digital circus is a place to be enjoyed by all ages. You, my friend, stumbled into an incredible world of wonders where anything can happen. Except for swearing.
Oh my god. Well, how do I, leave?
Well, don't freak out about it or anything, but, we don't exactly...
You can't.
What?
Shut up, Jax. But yeah, he's right. Welcome to your new home. And your new body.
A new home? What do you mean?
Guys, don't be mean.
We've been stuck here for years. Old Kinger over there's supposedly been here the longest.
Oh, did someone say something about an insect collection?
That's why he's crazy.
Yeah, you seem sane by comparison, sure. So we have the people pleaser, sort of peacemaker. We have the snarky asshole who's too good for whatever situation he's in. She seems to be checked out. Like, that's how she's coping with it. She's just kind of annoyed by everything. And then we have, well, Captain Pillowfort over here, which, frankly, I find relatable. And then the mad god of the realm, I suppose. The twisted fae. What has entrapped his victims in a dream world of his own creation. I guess. Who knows what the deep lore is? I'm not about to watch theory videos.
Oh my god! What?
No, my...
Oh yeah, interesting. Okay. So there's definitely something going on with the way she's animated right now. You see the way, like, when she's swinging her arm to get it up to the side of her face, doing the way that rather than lift it, she does this little rotating whoop, and then up to the side of the face, where it's rotating around the joint of her shoulder. Same thing with her head, right? Like, how much the head kind of drops, almost like it's independent of her neck. It's a very exaggerated motion, but it's interestingly seems to be informed by the way that she's put together. Like, when there's circles and spheres, they are treated like orbs, essentially. Interesting.
Oh my god!
Also, the way that her shoulder moves across the volume of her body. You can see it happening here, right? You can see how the volume of the shoulder moves from being occluded by her chest, and then it just kind of scoots over the side of her torso, over to the front, displaces itself into a new position, and, like, even clips through the collar a little bit to... That's interesting, right? And then when the arm falls... Yeah, it's not physically consistent exactly, but it's a very clever way to use the geometry of the character to achieve expressiveness. And it also betrays that there must be, like, I wonder about the rigs of these characters. Because, like, Jester Girl here, I won't call her a clown anymore if you're going to be fussy about it. Jester Girl here must have a pretty complicated, or at least a very capable, I don't know if it's complicated, a capable rig inside of her to be able to achieve, like, both the deformation and all the breaking, but also, like, independently controlling so many bits of her volume. And again, like, I'm not really a 3D animation expert. Maybe modern animation software can just kind of do this with no problem whatsoever. But that does seem like something that a rigger must have had to put quite a lot of work into making sure that it would be functional. Or else it's a assembly doll process where it's, like, not necessarily one rig, but multiple rigs that are being manipulated together. I don't know.
Oh my god! What?
No, my dear. We can't have any of that foul language.
Is that how you do F? Okay. Because F is, like, it's a what's it called? Labiodental fricative, if I'm remembering my linguistics education correctly, which is you have to form it by attaching your teeth to your lips, right? Your teeth and your lips have to touch, right? And so in order to form that sound with him, any of that they have to, like, they deform the bottom row of teeth up so that it touches the top lip, so that it's like the top teeth have, like, grabbed onto the bottom lip and are pulling them inwards.
Foul
So, foul.
language around here. The amazing digital circus is a place to be enjoyed by all ages. You, my friend, stumbled into an incredible world of wonders where anything can happen, except for swearing.
Oh my god. Well, how do I, leave?
Well, don't freak out about it or anything, but, we don't exactly...
You can't.
What?
Shut up, Jax. But yeah, he's right.
So she's interesting, right? Because unlike Kane, unlike Kane, Zubul here, thank you for the name subtitles, she can't over-emote, right? Like, she can't... They? Oh, they. Okay. They it is. They can't over-emote. They can't over-emote in the same way, right? They can't swing their body around. They can't hyperpose. They can't really be excessively expressive in order to convey emotion, because their personality is one of, oh my god, I'm so done with this. I'm tired of it. I don't want to be here. This is annoying. So their affect has to be much more downplayed. And they also don't really have anything to lip sync with.
What?
Shut up, Jax. But yeah, he's right. Welcome to your new home.
Right? They don't really have anything that can approximate or stand in for a mouth. So we're doing some very...
But yeah, he's
right. For that, yeah. We're doing basically a head waggle.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So we're just emoting...
But yeah,
We're just emoting the dialogue with... Are their eye blinks always going to be desynchronized? I notice they do the frog blink. Yeah, it kind of looks that way. It kind of looks like their eye blinks are desynchronous. That's interesting.
but yeah, he's right.
So this is all... You can see how, in the absence of a mouth, the animators are using the eyelids.
But yeah, he's
Right? Those little gestures of the eyelid to sort of sync up with what they're saying.
right. Welcome to your new home.
And that's how they're sort of getting the acting and the physical motion of speaking across. There's some challenges when you do it like that, though. Like, it means you can't... Animating them to be talking when you can't hear what they're saying, like across the room or whatever, there's some restrictions on that, because you can't just rely on lip flaps.
And your new body.
A new home? What do you mean?
Guys, don't be mean.
We've been stuck here for years. Old Kinger over there's supposedly been here the longest.
Oh, did someone say something?
Retracting like a turtle.
Did someone say something about an insect collection?
That's why he's crazy.
Oh, okay, now I get it! This is a dream, and I should just play along until I wake up, right?
Whatever you say, kid.
They broke my comedy mask.
So, Kane, we having a new adventure?
Right, because the comedy mask is broken now, that character can only cry. I see, I get it. Okay, so it's... Is the mask transparent? Yeah, it's like a film that's been stretched over. And it's like reflective, but it's not translucent. But okay, like, he literally steps all over their feelings. I get it.
So, Kane, we having a new adventure today for the newbie or what?
I'd like to give our brand new member a tour of the circus grounds first. Off we go!
Oh, that's pretty good. Again, wish I could see it, but you know. We're literally just warping, right? Like, we're literally just fading from here to here, but we're covering it up.
Here we have the tent. This is where your living quarters are, as well as all sorts of other activities. These activities may include...
Spamton ass. So most of these are just blue screens, right? Yeah. Glitched out blue screens, spcdm decon.sys. Not anything I specifically recognize, but they are Windows errors specifically, which is interesting.
Ball pits.
His voice actor was he's that guy. Wait. He's that guy. He is the Spamton guy. Because I swear to God, if that's who that is, I've fucking heard him before.
Mini golf and more.
This time we're not fading, right? Like the shift between the inner of the circus and out here, you can see here it's literally, it's not that they're actually crossing through to a new space. We're literally just like fading from one place to another without exiting the door or anything. This one's more legit in the sense that it is literally that we're zooming out and like hyper distorting the volume of like a 3D model. I wonder if they manually, it looks like they must have manually distorted the model to support the hyperspeed transition here.
And here we have the grounds. Drown yourself in the digital lake or engage in ridery at the digital carnival.
Okay, we're referencing suicide right away here, huh? Again with the uncanniness of these like self-clipping skyboxes. You notice the flatness of this as well, right? That this is a flat projection of a lake. In the same way, you remember those, like, that little carpet you might have in your room as a kid with all the roads and things on, and it's like a little town, and you drive your little toy cars around and thing? You know the one. It's a little bit of that. Like, they're projecting... This is not a three-dimensional rendering of what it would actually look like. It's like this tilt-shifted flattening of what the actual 3D space would be like that creates that, again, uncanny feeling of looking at like a picture of a playset or a picture projected onto a background.
At the digital carnival. Night, day, it's all okay. The choice is yours. A cosmic...
I would love to see how they cheat that one. I want the angle on this shot from 90 degrees to the right. I want the angle on this shot, like, just from... I want to see what that... How much the way that they distorted the model to do this, like, heavy point into camera. That must look fucking hilarious.
Yours, a cosmic buffet.
Is that all there is?
Of course not. This is the void. We don't venture out into the void.
Not even I know what's out there.
Like I said, right? Like, now that he's squinting, now that he's like, his vibe is like shoulders hunched, kind of worried, a little bit scared. You can see how they're keeping the teeth close in order to like let the lower teeth act as his lower eyelid.
Out into the void.
Not even I know what's out there.
We stay right here, where I can keep my hundreds of all-seeing eyes on you.
Hello, Kane. I love you.
Let's get out of here before the moon gets frisky.
Wait, what's that?
Hello, Kane. I love you.
Average asexual reacting to flirting. Yeah. Oh, well.
Stay right here, where I can keep my hundreds of all-seeing eyes on you. This is the Void.
I very much like the trick of pulling the camera way the fuck further back, and then the Void, so that it's quiet in the background. So we got some chromatic aberration glitch effects happening, making it hard to sort of parse exactly what it is. I guess it's just supposed to be an unformed digital landscape, but one suspects that the Void is not quite as empty as it seems.
We don't venture out into the Void.
Not even I know what's out there.
Lovely little lighting changes as well. Like with a light projected from like the inside of his mouth, and as a bit of edge lighting to like, yeah.
I know what's out there.
That's clever. That's very well done.
We stay right here, where I can keep my hundreds of all-seeing eyes on you.
Eyes on you. That's very good. As he forms the ooh, because the teeth mouth deforms, it pushes the eyes closer in his head and forces them to focus on her. That's a very clever way to sort of go from insane, like staring off in either direction, unfocused, unhinged, to uncomfortably focused on something right in front of him by using the lip sync, the flap of the mouth, with the teeth pushing the eyes into focus as he goes, you.
Hello, Kane. I love you.
Let's get out of here before...
Okay, so for the yeah, we're doing a cartoon thing, right? Like we're pushing the eyes outside of the mouth, and then we're wobbling their volumes to emphasize like the ah.
Love you.
Let's get out of here before... Get out of here before the moon gets frisky.
Wait, what's that?
Whoa! Clean up on aisle U!
I'm on it, boss! Ow.
Oh no! Please don't do that.
You like this?
I don't think you get to say that though, Kane. Given everything.
Wait! Was that an exit door I saw out there? Is that a way to leave?
What exit? If there was a way to leave, I'm pretty sure we'd have all left by now.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
The door I saw out there? Is that a way to leave?
What exit? If there was a way to leave, I'm pretty sure we'd have all...
Okay, so the volume is stiff while horny Tumblr Rabbit is using it to scratch himself, but then the moment that they decide to actually activate it, you can see how it becomes all of a sudden more articulate. And then... Very good. Very good. Rendering like a very two-dimensional... And interestingly, changing like the volume of his head a lot, right? Because as we talked about before, he doesn't really seem to have an interior mouth when he's just talking, right? He doesn't really have... He just has like a hard sphere of yellow with the eyes painted on and the teeth painted on, but then once we need it for an extreme expression, poke the eyes right out of the skull, and now he can open, right? Like now he can open his teeth, now he can open his mouth, now he has a tongue all of a sudden, which is interesting.
Fine.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I assure you, there is no magical exit door.
Again, that's very much a Spamton kind of phrase. There is no magical exit door. .exe.
You're probably just experiencing digital hallucinations from your mind's transition to the digital plane.
I swear I saw it.
Digital hallucinations!
Subtle.
How about we talk about something else? Like your name.
My name? My name is, oh God! Why can't I remember my name?
Nobody can remember their name once they enter the digital circus. One of the few things I don't have control over are your minds. So all I can help you with is coming up with a new one.
What's my name?
Don't you worry your little head. Your new name can be anything. Hereby acknowledging that your chosen name and/or names may not breach the digital circus user license agreement, stating that your name may not include objectionable content. Objectionable content includes but is not limited to sexually explicit materials, obscene, defamatory, libelous, slanderous, violent, and/or unlawful content or profanity. What are you?
Interesting. Okay, so we're doing a very quick...
Slanderous, violent, and/or unlawful content.
So in order for him to patter, right? Like in order for him to speak very, very quickly like that.
Your new name can be anything. Hereby acknowledging that your chosen name and/or names may not breach the digital circus user license agreement, stating that your name.
And so here we're abandoning lip syncing, right? Like we're not really forming the sounds with the fidelity that we had. Instead, we're doing a sort of wiggle, 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 rapid.
Hereby acknowledging that your chosen name and/or names may not breach the digital circus user license agreement, stating that your name may not include objectionable content. Objectionable content includes but is not limited to sexually explicit materials, obscene, defamatory, libelous, slanderous, violent, and/or unlawful content or profanity. What are you thinking?
I don't care, just pick anything.
Let's see.
For a second, I thought that was the Fortnite font.
What do you think of...
I don't...
You're right, terrible. Let's try that again. What do you think of Pomni?
Sure. I think I just...
Gadzooks, you're right, Jax. We should have a brand new adventure for our new member, Pomni.
I said that like 5 minutes ago.
You! Do you like adventure? Activity? Wonder? Danger? Horror? Pain? Suffering? Agony? Death? Disease? Death? Angel food cake?
No, 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 no. Oh, the eyes are fully clipping into each other there.
Danger? Horror? Pain? Suffering? Agony? Death? Disease? Death? Angel food cake? Ow! You parasite!
I don't...
Very good. Look at that. Right. Upper teeth, specifically as upper eyebrow. Look to the left. Lower raise. Look to the right. Lower raise. Get angry. You parasite!
Ow! You parasite!
I don't really...
Since you're new around here, we're gonna make it a simple in-house adventure to warm you up to how things work around here.
What? No, God. I don't want an in-house adventure.
Don't worry, Zubul. I'll make it something unobtrusive that you can still choose to not get involved with. Something unobtrusive that you can still choose to not get involved.
I like the wiggles on their whatever that antenna thing is. It's kind of like the shaking of a cat's tail a little bit. Like it seems to indicate like an internal distaste for the physical contact. Right? Like they don't like being...
I'll make it something unobtrusive that you can still choose to not get involved.
Like they don't like being touched. Like it reverberates up through their head.
With. Today's adventure is... Gather the gloinks! That's right! The entire circus tent...
Again, that incorporation of the camera. Gather the gloinks. And then he goes for the camera, specifically, right? And he goes for the camera in a way where he collides with it and displaces it. You can see that it gets a little bit of that handheld shake. Which I wonder, like, given that we're doing the whole, we're inside of computer simulation, reality isn't real, hundreds of all-seeing eyes, possibly, like, significant of the audience, How much are we playing with that meta-narrative thing of, like, the characters are part of a fake digital reality? Oh, hey, kind of like the fake digital reality that exists inside of a 3D animation or on your computer. Like, how much are we doing the Undertale commenting on the limitations of the media thing? I wonder.
That's right! The entire circus tent will be infested with gloinks! And you gotta catch them all!
But what are they?
I'm glad you...
Oh, he grew a tongue for a second there. So, when you say L, when you make the form the L phoneme, there's a few ways, like, people can do it a few ways. Like, I think some Asian languages do it a little differently, but in English, you put the tip of your tongue at the back of the top of your teeth. So he seems to have spawned a tongue entirely to really emphasize the all.
You gotta catch them all!
And then again, the animators having a lot of fucking fun with this guy. Take advantage of that, and then they do this little gesture of having the eyes roll out to the end of the tongue like that. That's very, very pleasing. I really like that.
And you gotta catch them all!
But what are they?
I'm glad you asked, Bubble. They're small.
And what do they do?
They...
How do they...
Gloinks are small, mischievous critters that steal anything and everything they run into. Why do these humanoid hash browns do this? How do you stop them? That's for you to find out.
Na 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 katamari damasi. Again with those wonky physics collisions, right?
Stop them? That's for you to find out. Now, good luck and have fun, my little superstars.
What did any of that mean?
Oh, that's just one of Kane's little adventures. They're just something fun to do to, you know, prevent us from going insane.
Speak for yourself. If anyone needs me, then f off.
Oh, God, oh, jeez.
Oh, okay. So they swear with their hands, huh? I mean, the implication of that is... Oh, no. They anticipated. They anticipated the sensor. They grabbed it and were about to sort of spin it around and throw it away. Interesting. I guess possibly also they were giving the finger. So with this character, right, because their face is the way that it is, right, because the face is this geometric thing, there's definitely gonna be a lot of facing to camera, because, like, they turn their body 90 degrees to walk away, and the face remains, like, they don't quarter turn it, right? Like, I know that they're still looking at, like, Pomni and the other one. I know they're still looking at them, but there is a decision made there not to quarter turn the face, just to keep the expression readable on them. I think, like, there's going to be a lot of things the animators have to do to compromise with the camera to keep that character's emotionality and physicality readable.
And f off.
Oh, God, oh, jeez.
Yeah, so we have multiple overlapping, like, simple popcorn volumes of like smoke, and then I quite like the animation on the little effects. You see the way that that star that exits there, the way that that, like, pops. That's very effective.
Oh no, they killed Zubul. Anyway, you guys want to go get something to eat?
Oh, wait! We should go check on Kaufmo. I'm pretty sure he'd like to meet Pomni.
My impenetrable fortress!
You want to come with us to check on Kaufmo?
No, not really. I think Kaufmo's gone insane. Last time I spoke with him, he was rambling endlessly about some exit.
So is the walk cycle just fully sliding, or... Yeah, no, there's like a cyclical...
I think Kaufmo's gone insane.
Yeah, it's part sliding, and then part...
I think Kaufmo's gone
You can see there's a little bit of wobble up and down in the body as he moves.
insane. Last time I spoke with him, he was rambling endlessly about...
There's an interesting mixture, too, of lighting styles and texture styles. Because, like, that pillar behind there, look at the texturing on that thing. That's, again, way too advanced for the kind of texturing that you would be doing in late 90s edutainment software. Especially relative to the rest of the environment, right? Same thing with the lighting reactivity, because, like, a lot of it is, like, you get these little point lights, right? Like, these little reflective plastic lights that sort of indicate a fairly sophisticated lighting system on a lot of what's happening. And then sometimes you get things that seem like they're using a slightly more simple lighting system. I'd be very curious to figure out, to know something about how they handle lighting and, like, cinematography for these scenes. Because, like, Kinger here is sort of casting a drop shadow on the floor. Pomni doesn't seem to be casting a shadow at all. And the Raggedy Ann doll is definitely at least reflecting a little bit off of the background. It's interesting that Pomni doesn't cast a shadow at all. I wonder if that's just an oversight.
about some exit. Kind of like you, Pomni. You might be going insane, too.
But wait, wouldn't that more likely mean the exit does exist?
Could also mean you just have a jump start and losing your mind.
What about Zubo? Well, I think I'd like to ask him about it, if this was real, which it isn't, because it's a dream.
She still thinks this is a dream.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm fine with doing whatever, as long as I get to see funny things happen to people. Okay, I've already had enough of these things. You, me, and Pomni will go check on Kaufmo, which leaves Crybaby and Hoo-Ha together to go handle the Zubul situation.
I like the hair texture on this doll. It's cutting a decent mix between looking like it's actual texture versus still being plastic enough to kind of fit with the character design.
You think pairing them up together is a good idea?
Of course I do. They're the two most mentally stable and capable characters to be paired together. Come on, ladies. Mentally stable and capable characters to be paired together. Come on.
Again, we're like very much doing physics engine Gmod shit, right? Must have been very fun to animate.
Up together is a good idea?
Of course I do. They're the two most mentally stable and capable characters to be paired together. Come on, ladies.
The thing that makes that effective, by the way, the thing that makes that whole shake thing effective is his posture never changes, right? Like the hands stay... Okay, that my 3D model can't do that. The hands stay as they are. They don't start twisting. Like they stay completely in the same position, right? Like pointing in the same way. He's not flexing his fingers or anything. It's just the bits of his body start moving. That's what makes that effective, is that it looks realistically, I say realistic, it looks believably like it's a physics simulation breaking a little bit.
Stable and capable characters to be paired together.
Right, like it's a character rig that's going wrong.
Come on, ladies. Let's go harass the clown.
My comedy mask is broken again.
Ah! Oh! Gangle, you startled me.
So, this is where we all live. Or, well, where we all...
Oh, that's fun. Okay. So, again, early days of 3D, right? One of the things you would see a lot when you were like looking at ads for 3D software and things like that would be tableaus like that, right? A lot of it, what you would see when like it came to sort of demonstrating early 3D software, like I said, it's like very very simple volumes, like cones, triangles, boxes, extremely simple volumes projected onto often like checkerboard patterned ground area, because that's a thing that you can kind of measure against, with skyboxes projected very awkwardly in the background. So that feels entirely like seeing like somewhere on this thing there should be an ad for like powerful professional grade 3D software, always with a serif font, and then some long-winded ad blurb about like creating magical digital worlds only using the power of your personal computer. Now you can make it real. 5 installments of $99.99, whatever. That feels very that.
I'll sleep at night. Even though we don't really need to sleep, it's sometimes nice to kind of take a break from everything and have a bit of a routine, you know?
So those are their bedrooms. Why is there an X over that one? And where is that guy? Girl. Them. They. It. Oh, is that just a blank door that hasn't been claimed yet? Because there's one over here as well.
Well.
And there's an X over whatever that is.
Where we all sleep at night. Even though we don't really...
And that one and that one. That's one of those little worm on a string things.
Really need to sleep, it's sometimes nice to kind of take a break from everything and have a bit of a routine, you know? I'm sure there'll be one for... Oh, look, you already got one.
I still don't understand. About the adventures, why even go on them at all?
Huh. There's an X over what looks like... Is that Kinger? That's not Kinger, then. Because that's a different head shape.
Why not
And different colors, also.
try to find a way to leave?
Well, we usually do when we first arrive, but...
So another thing, by the way, about these like very early 3D renders, a lot of them were ray traced. That's something like, yeah, see, there's Kinger. So that was a different one. There was another chess piece. That would be a queen then, so it would be Queener or something like that. Early 3D model animation was often ray traced. Like, ray tracing is not at all a new technology at all. Like, ray tracing is a very old way of like rendering lighting in a 3D scene. But it used to be, like, the thing that's new about ray tracing in gaming and shit like that, is that nowadays you have graphics cards that can do it in real time, right? Like, that's the innovation, is you have these graphic cards that can handle those millions and millions of calculations of like light ray bounce and direction in real time in your video games. But it's something that, like, it's an old technology that we've been able to do for a long time. It's just, in order to render a single frame of something ray traced, it took a very fucking long time, right? And obviously they were handling those ray tracings. Go away, mobile phone. Those ray tracings were handled at a much lower level of fidelity, much lower level of like number of reflections. Like it's simpler, but the fundamental technology has existed for a long time. So when you see that stuff being advertised as though it's new, it's not a new technology at all. The new thing is that we're reasonably capable of doing it in real time now.
But after a while, you start to realize that you really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
So, character animation on the Raggedy Ann doll. So this is like a walking scene, right? So depending on exactly how glitch works, right? For a scene like this, when you have like this steady sort of mid shot and you're animating the characters walking down the hallway, depending on how they work, depending on how much time you want to save, if you know for sure, if you know for 100% sure, this is the shot you want, this is the composition, this is the cinematography, you're not going to change anything, then oftentimes you just, like, I will bet you money that if that's how they work, then right out of frame, here, the legs aren't doing anything, right? Like, it's not, their feet are not touching the ground. They're not actually moving. They're not actually walking. And all that's really being animated is just whatever bits are in the camera. And that's usually called something like cheating to camera, right? Cheating to camera means a lot of things in 3D. But one of the main things it means is that you don't animate the scene realistically as though it's a real scene that's happening in a 3D space. You animate the scene as though it only exists in whatever bits of the scene are visible to camera. And that's a trade-off, which is a thing like everyone animation, there's trade-offs, right? When you do that, what you can do is you can do a lot of animation that's very specifically calibrated to look good in camera in the way that the audience is allowed to see it. But it also means that if you decide at some point during the production process, like, this shot isn't good enough, we want to change the angle, we want to pull the camera back, we want to add another angle on the scene, all of a sudden you can't really reuse all the work you did, or you have to add a whole bunch of extra work, so like bringing the stuff you did where you cheated to camera up to snuff of being capable of being rendered in another direction, right? And so there is this push and pull. This is one of the things that's interesting about game animation, by the way. 3D animation in games most of the time, cannot cheat to camera, right? When you're playing Call of Duty, unless it's a very, very tightly scripted cutscene, you can't cheat to camera at all, because the player could be fucking anywhere in the scene viewing it. So animators working on video games have to be able to render and animate scenes and acting and motion and movement in a way that will look good from any angle that the player can possibly encounter it. And that's a very different discipline in many ways than animating something like this, where everything is like statically oriented towards the camera. And that's, again, if you can ever find like behind the scenes footage of, like, I think they did it for Shrek. I think I saw it for the first time. I think that was the first time I saw cheating to camera sort of being explained, with some behind the scenes footage from Shrek where they showed, oh yeah, for this scene we didn't render Shrek's legs at all because it's a medium close up where like his legs are not going to be relevant, so you just had Shrek's like upper body. And that blew my mind as a kid, because I thought, oh, but 3D is like puppets, right? So you have to have the whole puppet if you want to do things. Like, no, you can literally just despawn whatever bits you don't need. And that's something that's fun to think about in all kinds of shots. Like in a close-up shot like this, right? Like, I'm sure the rest of the model is there because that's just easier. But whatever animation is happening to Kinger here, it's just the upper body, because it's just that little quarter of it that's showing up, right? Like, again, depending on how they work, depending on the workflow that they use, like same thing here, like this dolly shot zoom in on Pomni, right? No need to animate anything below the shoulders, like, because nothing is happening to it. So this might look very funny if you could be able to obtain a different camera angle on the rendering files of this.
Would it?
Anyway, Raggedy Ann doll, girl, lady, her name, something. She has a name, I'm sure. I'm sure I've heard it.
Find a way to leave?
Well, we usually do when we first arrive, but after a while you start to realize that you really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit.
I feel like there's something subtle happening here. Hang on. Yeah, okay, interesting. Remind me to keep an eye on the secondary motion of her hair and how they handle it. Because I would imagine for, like, the secondary motion of the hair, like, that's not just, like, the movement, but, like, the dangling and, like, the way that it responds to motion, something like that. That's the kind of thing that you would often let a physics engine handle in a lot of cases, and then you would, like, manually correct it afterwards. And I'm wondering the extent to which... Hang on, let me compare it with... Because this is like a close-up focusing specifically on her acting.
I still don't understand.
Yeah, look at that. Like, so you look at her at her hair as she's walking. It is doing a little bit of, like, physics jiggling.
Still don't understand. About the adventures? Why even go on them at all?
but it's relatively staid, right? Like it doesn't do much. It just kind of sits there.
Why not try to find a way to leave?
Well, we usually do when we first
Right, but then now look, when we have the camera focusing on her and we're like doing her dialogue scene and she is like doing this.
arrive, but after a while you start to realize that you really can't leave.
There seems to be a lot more activity in the hair. I wonder, it's maybe just because her walk cycle is so relatively... Maybe her walk cycle is just relatively... Like, maybe because her walk cycle is so relatively solid and stable. Her hair just doesn't move very much during these movements. Like, the physics simulation just doesn't do much. I don't know. I want to keep an eye on that, because that's curious.
An unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point...
I really do... So here's a fun thing. You see that? So if you remember, back when Frozen sort of came out, there was a GIF that went around on Tumblr a lot, which is the scene when Elsa is like pulling the thing out of her hair, like let it go, and like she like drags her braid over her shoulder and then like flips it out like that, the fucking hair thing, right? A lot of people were clowning on that because, well, in order to achieve that bit of animation, I was one of them back then, by the way. I knew less about animation then than I do now. I was one of the people clowning on it. One of my many mistakes on the internet. People are clowning on it because clearly that's not something the hair could actually do, right? It's clipping through her hand, it's clipping through her shoulder. It's not a realistic motion, but that's not the point of it. The point of it was never to be a realistic motion. The point of it was to convey an acting choice, right? Like convey a vibe, convey a feeling. So with Raggedy, with Lady Doll Redhead here, you can see as she's raising her hand to brush the hair back over her ear, right? Which is a very human gesture, right? Like that's a very human thing to do when you have long hair, is like have this like this reflex to brush it behind your ear. I remember from back when I had long hair, many years ago. That's a very human gesture. And you can see immediately just like a mess of clipping, right? Of things just clipping through that are not supposed to. But that's not the point, right? Like the point isn't whether or not these giant sort of like rope hairs react realistically to the motion of her hand. The point is the acting choice, which is she's talking here like she's in acceptance mode, right? Like her thing is like, well, you know, adventures, we can just do them, and I've just sort of accepted that this is where I am and I can't change anything about it, and I'm never gonna go back to my body, and I'm never gonna be human again. And again, I don't know if this is a part of the thinking process, but I do like that as she's talking about how she has totally accepted her new body, she has accepted that this is just her reality, whatever, she nonetheless does a gesture that makes no sense with her anatomy. It doesn't make any sense for her to try and brush her hair behind her ear because she doesn't have an ear, right? It doesn't make sense for her to try and brush her hair behind anything because it's ropes that are attached to her head. They can't, like, even if she had an ear, she couldn't get them to sit behind that ear. So she's doing a gesture which doesn't make any sense with her anatomy, but does make sense with a human body, right? So even as she's like saying, oh, well, you know, if you try and actually escape here and go back to the real world in your real body, you're going to go crazy. So there's no point doing that. You might as well just accept. But then there's that little physical reflex, right? Like that little remnant of her human body that still manifests in her acting, in the way that she relates to her body, to her hair. I like that. Again, I don't know if, like, and it could also just be that they made her do that gesture because it's a good way to show, like, anxiety or a person readjusting themselves. But I would like to think that that's a reflection of her cognitive dissonance, right? Like that, which she's also expressing in many other ways, that she's like, she's desperately trying to hold on to her sanity by dropping into acceptance rather than try and resist it, but she's not pleased with it. Like, it's a cognitive dissonant situation.
An unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive. And when you reach your breaking point, something...
I like that gesture. Again, I wonder how much of the behavior of the hair is physics simulation here. The way that it pops out, like she holds it down for a second and then it pops out from under her touch.
breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
Good gesture work on her as well. You can see her hyperventilating, right?
But that's not something we need to deal with today. Above anything else, the adventures give us something to do that keeps our minds healthy and stimulated.
Thank goodness this is all a dream, right, Pomni?
Good reaction gif. Love the reflections in her eyes.
Why are we here again? What are we doing?
We're getting one of our friends.
Is there going to be a corpse in there? Is that what we're doing?
Maybe he's not in his room? I hope he's all right.
Don't worry, Dollface. I've got a key to his room.
Wait, what?
Show me that gesture again, would you? Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so as he raises the key, it's literally just glued to the end of his finger. It's not that he flips it up on his finger. It's just like, I have just attached the spinning key to my hand. Whoop.
Got a key to his room.
That's a nice way to do it.
Wait, what? Why? You shouldn't have keys to anyone's room.
Nah, I've got keys everywhere, and you've all been fine. By the way, I may have left something in your room today, so let me know if you find it. You're not afraid of centipedes, are you?
Jax! That's literally my only fear. Why would you do this?
What? It could be a completely unrelated question. You'll never know until it's too late.
Very good. No exit, really? No okay, sure.
Oh, I've been looking for this. Thanks for keeping an eye on it, Coffee. I'm gonna head out. See ya.
Oh, Cosmo's been obstructed. That's okay.
What is that?
It might be that terrible thing I was talking about earlier when you reach your breaking point.
Huh?
Okay, wait. Maybe there's still time to fix him before we get caned. Whoa, Cosmo! Listen, I know we didn't always get along, like when you called me out for fake laughing at your jokes.
Oh, people pleaser.
I swear I really did think they were funny. I was just having a bit of a bad day.
Very good work from the score as well. That's another thing, like, the fucking music for this show. It's like, I'm not the best in the world at noticing music or commenting on it. I don't know music theory.
It'd be a completely unrelated question. You'll never...
Nice picture of Kane there. What did the exit something Cax EX to? What did the exit what to? It's nice that as he was going insane, he took the time to find some like appropriate art and decorate his walls, right? Like you can see this. Oh, it's a picture of like an exit over there, and it's like scribble on it. Like so, like yeah, he was going completely insane, but he kept his mind in his interior decorating. That's that's a good class of like total psychotic breakdown. Wait, can something. Okay. So once again, we're introducing like the way that this abstraction is put together. It's essentially, again, a series of, it looks like a series of just like vertices and like polygons that are like rapidly, the same way that you'd get bugs in a video game where the polygon and the mesh of a character isn't loading correctly and it'll like rapidly fluctuate and wiggle all over and across everything. It looks like that. Like, that's basically what they're doing, is like, it's a 3D character model whose mesh has become unstable and is now glitching out. That's very clever. I mean, it's pretty clear who the clown blames. I noticed that they render Kane with canines. I thought the name came from the cane, but maybe it rather comes from the chomping teeth. Again, look, like, as he was going insane, as he was turning into an abstraction, still found the time to create appropriate wall art that, like, represents the mental state of his total decay. It's like, yeah, it's like, it's very good sensibility for interior decorating. Right, like, see, even it's got a picture. Self-portraits. Art therapy is so important. It's very good for your mental health. What on earth is that thing? A ladder, I get. Toys, rockets. What the hell is that thing? I really don't know what that is. Funny little thing about this perspective, by the way. You see how the frame of the doorway almost makes this look like just another picture on the wall? I don't know if that means anything, it's just interesting.
I've been looking for this.
Is that a fucking pipis? No, it's a bowling ball. Okay. I was just about to go. I was like, is that another fucking Spamton reference? Nice. Okay, they do render him leaving the smoke cloud. That's quite good.
Oh, Cosmo's been obstructed. That's okay.
What?
I do like the writing for... I keep remembering the name and then I keep forgetting it immediately. Ragatha, thank you very much. Thank you very much, chat. I do like the writing for her a bit, that her response to basically everything is to appease people and please them. Right? Like, oh, he's been abstracted. That's okay, that's fine. It's not a problem. Like that default to acceptance, which is like a very toxic way to try and deal with a toxic situation, because it's a learned helplessness kind of vibe, right?
Is that?
It might be that terrible thing I was talking about earlier.
Right? She doesn't say, that's the terrible thing I was talking about. It might be, if you want it to, like, but unless you don't want it to be that, then it's not, right? Like, that vibe.
You reach your breaking point? Okay, wait. Maybe there's still time.
And again, right, like, no, there's no conflict here. There's still, we can still fix him. I could talk to him. I could, right? Rather than addressing the issue right in front of her, it's all about trying to make there not be a problem.
Whoa, Cosmo, listen. I know we didn't always get along, like when you called me out for fake laughing at your jokes. I swear I really did think they were funny. I was just... funny. I was just having a bit of a bad day.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just... That looks like a really nice smear. Like, the score is having a lot of fun here, like, punctuating the action. Very Tom and Jerry. Interesting that she glitches as she takes more damage. Small thing I appreciate. You see the impacts? I don't know that they're hand-drawn, but they have that look, right? Like, they imitate the look of, like, a hand-drawn sort of animation impact thing. And she's clipping through the floor, too.
Hey, Pommy. You think
Do you think you could perhaps help me out here? No worries if not. She's literally no worries if not the character. Oh my god.
Hey, Pommy!
Making the head transparent. Someone's having a lot of fun with the effects here. You can even see that her mouth, like, the mouth is not rendering correctly as she's talking. By the way, again, I don't know enough about 3D animation to say how difficult it is, but, like, rendering a model that's breaking, right? Like, whose textures are becoming translucent, that's fucking up. I have to imagine that's a fiddly fucking process to do, because if you had to manually texture swap this, all of those times where you can see, like, the outer coat, like, now we get the petticoat underneath the dress, these little cutouts, if you had to manually render new textures for the damn thing every time, like, there must be some element of procedural generation here, right? Like, they must have been able to define some kind of function that randomly selects some extent or part of the texture of the character and, like, changes the color, renders it transparent, or does something. Like, how do you render an effect like that on a 3D character like this? How do you make that happen? That has to be fiddly fucking work to do. Because, like, the animation itself is, like, one thing, right? Where we're just kind of translating the volume in odd ways to sort of punctuate the dialogue.
Help me out here! I understand you don't want to, though.
Again, that little 2D style cartoony. Interestingly aliased here. Ah, it's a communicable problem.
I'm sorry!
I do love that run cycle. That's very good. Look at that. Whoop. Look. That's, again, very... It's an interesting snappiness to the legs. That very much has the feel of the run cycle of, like, a character in a PS1 game. I'm thinking... In fact, the thing that immediately comes to mind for me a little bit, maybe just because it's a jester character, there was a PS1 game where you could play as, like, a jester or, like, a red-headed girl, and the red-headed girl had magic. And it was like a side-scrolling thing, like a 3D environment with the background, and it was like a character swapping mechanic, I think. The fuck was that called? It had a name. I swear to God, not Nights into Dreams. No, it's a PS1 game. It's not a Dreamcast game. It's a PS1 game. There was a jester and, like, a girl. They had to save the world. Generic fantasy plot kind of situation. But it was sort of a side-scrolling thing in the same style as Klonoa. I can't remember. Anyway, I like her run cycle is the point I'm trying to get at. Look at that. You see that? That's the same thing we talked about with the shoulders, right? Like the way that the shoulders are just kind of glued or magnetically attached to the side of her body. Same thing with the run cycle here. Rather than, like, actually rotating her leg around, like, the hip. Pandemonium! Yes, thank you, chat. Pandemonium is the game I was thinking about. Rather than actually rotating the leg around, like, the hip socket the way that you would expect it to, the whole ball of the joint rotates and pulls the leg with it. That's a very cool run cycle. And it gives her that really floppy, very toy-like... Like, she's like a Raggedy Ann doll, right? Like, she's very toy-like very sort of floppy all over the place. It's very effective. I wish I could see what was happening, but okay. You can see how they bend the leg in anticipation of the landing. We also get just the tiniest bit of float, and then land, catch the volume moving forward. She kind of, you can see how she kind of stumbles in a way that doesn't make any sense. Gets a little bit of coyote time before she gets to plant the other leg and dive. That's a very fun physicality. I wish I could see it! Really wish I could see more of this animation. Oh, no, I need to see that fucking spin out. Yeah, look at that. Fully doing a fucking Sonic CD peel out around the corner there. And, like, there's choices being made by the animator as she, like, comes around the corner. No bobbing, right? Like, no moving up and down as she's running. She's entirely floating sideways while her legs are kicking rapidly against the ground. And then the moment the move is over, right, like the peel out is over, you can see how her weight reasserts itself here, right? That's when the weight reasserts itself. She lands, she plants, and then she jumps to relative safety. It's very good. Good girl.
I don't know what I'm looking at here.
It's the hole. Tom, have you seen my copy of the greatest movie of all time? 17 again? Fell down the hole. Another little... Yeah. Very good. Another little slide. I like the awkwardness of her movements. I really do. There's an opportunity for acting there. Because, like, Pomni is in a new body. It works differently than her human one. I don't know if they're going to do that, but there's an opportunity for her to become more and more comfortable with her form as the series goes on and then get better at controlling it. That would be an interesting thing to keep an eye on.
I don't know what I'm looking at here.
Fell down the hole.
We saw Gloink carry one of Sybil's pieces down there, remember?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for the recap.
I like the bloodshot, just the fucking veins on his eyeballs. Very good.
Boy, we're not very good at this, are we?
Sup, fellas?
Jax! We found the Zooble hole.
There's... Nope, not gonna say it.
Cool.
How is Kaufmo doing? I hope he's not still mad at me for not laughing at his jokes.
Oh, he's doing great. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen him this happy before.
Well, it's good to know he hasn't completely lost his mind.
He actually asked me to give you this.
There we go. Now we're doing something fun with the ribbon. I do like that. Like, we get, like, Kinger falls through the hole, but then his hand just kind of stays. Like, it doesn't follow his body as it falls. It just stays, reaches over ever so daintily, grabs, and now we're doing something fun with the physicality of the character, right? Somehow, the other ribbon just gets attached as well. just gets grabbed. But now we're doing something fun with the ribbon body, unraveling them directly. What a physically horrifying experience that must be. Can you imagine? Oh, some of you are going to sexualize that now, aren't you? Ah, well. Again, lovely little 2D effects. Right, this little 2D smoke cloud as he jumps. And then as he pops through. Don't know if they just rendered in whatever animation software they're using or if they're 2D animations projected into the scene. But they look nice. They would look nice. This lovely squash and stretch would look amazing if I could... Yeah, this sequence of the characters all rolling and falling down the slide sure looks like there's a lot of very fun and interesting squash and stretch happening in it. I'm sure there is. It certainly seems like it. Oh, radical. I kept parsing it as two words, and I was like, raid iCal? Huh? No. Very good. Nice little setup subversion. Again, with the texturing of this place. This is much more... I mean, the texturing is too high resolution to be like 2000s, but this is much more the kind of texture resolution, texture projection that you'd get in like... I guess a Half-Life type of game, the way that, like, you can see the way that this texture has seams, and it's, like, incorrectly projected, because they're using two different rock textures for different parts of the environmental model. That's, again, we're very video games here. Huh, he's less entering the scene like he's being pushed by gravity, and it's more like he's being pulled. You see that? I guess pulled by his own cartoon physics. Oh, I like that.
An insect collection?
I think it's a nest.
Hello?
Good cut.
The nest.
Perfectly cut screams are always funny. This is a fucking Tim Burton ass, though. Like, if that thing was black and white and had stripes, that would be fully on some Nightmare Before Christmas shit. Okay, so it eats objects from within this 3D environment and then converts all of them into these little things, is the idea then.
An insect collection?
I think it's a nest.
Hello? Ragatha? That was your name, right?
Ragatha!
Hey, look. I didn't mean to leave you behind like that. Just look at my hand. I didn't know what to do.
It's okay. What you need to do right now is find Kane. He'll be able to fix me up and take care of Kaufmo.
Okay, but where can I find him?
I don't really know.
Oh, that's very good. Playing Pong with the nose. That's amazing. I love that. That's very funny.
Just look around and call for him, I suppose.
Okay, I'll get him. You just stay right there. Not that you can really move or anything. Just hang in there. I'll be right back. I promise.
Cool. Oh, so Pomni, I'm sorry. Your first day here had to be so terrible.
Don't think there's really any other option than
Yeah,
terrible.
Well, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go get Kane now.
Literally people-pleasing to the point of self-destruction. Like, very literally.
Hello? Kane? We have a bit of an issue here!
What do we have there? Oh. Is that a part of the... Can't really figure it out. Again, bubbles, very popular in early 90s 3D rendering. Oh, that's cool imagery. I like that. And interestingly, I wonder if that's like an asset bot on the Unreal store, if they custom made that. Because that's a very... Like, you look at the fucking... Again, the motion blur makes it a little hard to tell, but... Look at the level of detail on those... merry-go-rounds. Like, that's not at all... Like, relative to the simplicity of geometric rendering in everything else we've seen so far, that thing has, like, a huge amount of, like, actual physical detail and physical complexity. So that's interesting. Oh, hey, there they are. Ah, okay, I see. Oh, that rules. Let me look at that water rendering for a second. Oh, yeah, that's very Tomb Raider. That's very... like, early 90s texture projection on top of, like, a volume. Look at the fucking toilet, how fucking big it is relative to the sink. And, like, yeah. That's very effective horror imagery, too, I think.
What form of non-glowing killing mass dares
Oh, I love her already. Look at how she moves. Does her butt have a different voice? She moves like a sock puppet. You see it? Like, she moves like a lot of ways in the way that... like, with more articulation, but there's an element of that.
What form of non-glowing killing mass dares presume presence in the nest of the glowing queen?
Oh, is that who you are? You know, you could have asked for my consent before forcing me to see something so completely and utterly disgusting.
How despicable! A rabbitoid that runs its mouth in the presence of my royal figure!
Well, as a royal myself, I would like to kindly ask if... Oh, look, there's Zubul. Hi, Zubul.
Help me, you idiots! Kinda rude, Zubul. Now I don't want to help you.
Aw, little performative nihilist. Aw. Speaking of, like, people-pleasing to the point of total self-destruction, this is the same kind of self-destructiveness, just contrarianism. Right.
No, I always lose.
Yes! Gotcha!
Hey! King, are you, mother... they'll be fine.
Oh, certified dysphoria moment, huh? Ooh, nice camera move.
God, where's Kane?
Go. Go, 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 go. But you won't, of course, because then there'd be no story. Or rather, she won't she won't actually get out of the simulation thing. Now this is a story of a girl named Pomni. Pomni worked in an office. Oh, very good. When Pomni entered the room, she took the red door on the left. Oh, well, right to the back rooms.
You foolish assortment of colorful characters! Do you not realize that everything must be blanks?
I love the way she shouts. Everything must be blah. That's excellent. That's wonderful. Very, very, like, very, very oogie boogie. Again, like, the Nightmare Before Christmas thing is like, I remember the serpents, I think, in Beetlejuice, and there's definitely also some characters in Nightmare Before Christmas who kind of do the same, like, zipped up long mouth thing.
Blanks. I am blanks. You will be blanks. God will be blanks.
This is dumb and weird.
Well, and yet you're still watching it.
Calling the audience out correctly.
I'm not here for the adventure or anything. I'm just here to hide from the...
Oh, thank God you're okay. You didn't experience a game show in there, did you?
What are you talking about?
What's happening?
It's just Kaufmo. Don't worry about it.
Kaufmo abstracted?
Nah, he's fine.
You're right! How are we gonna get out of here?
Guys, over there.
Very good. An escalator.
Ladies first. No, wait, why would I say that?
Wait, Pomni's not even here? Wasn't this whole thing for her?
Be quiet. I can't hear the escalator.
Go. Hey, Pomni, before you go, click one of the doors 433 times. Click one of the doors 433 times. Just do it. Just do it. Very effective use of the camera angles here as well. Check some of the documents. Look for environmental storytelling. Find the adventure line. There's computers back there. Check them. Like, there could be digital files and stuff on them. Oh, hey. That looked like a digital headset of some kind. Speaking of checking for environmental storytelling, that looks like one of the paintings from the hallway. Dolly zoom. That looks like some kind of primitive virtual reality headset and a computer that has been set on fire. Well, isn't that interesting? Huh. C and A. Cave Johnson and Aperture Science? I don't know. Hey, it's that one hallway in Ocarina of Time. Oh, we're literally doing 2001. Okay, fair enough. So many of them.
Oh, Bubble, you always know how to make me say this exact sentence. Yes! An alert on my wacky watch at this
What does that wingdings say? Webdings, whichever one it is.
hour? Oh no! Someone's venturing out into the void! They'll get totally spoiled! There you go! Now what the heck happened around here? Oh yeah, my doing.
Kane! Kaufmo went through a sort of kaufmosis and abstracted!
Kaufmo abstracted? Why didn't anybody tell me? And into the cellar you go.
Well. Fell down the hole. That's a very realistic looking fluid simulation that they're running down there. Again, the experimentation that's happening here with rendering styles. Because like out in the Amazing Digital Circus, everything is like an early, like, late 90s sort of edutainment software kind of static ray trace rendering thing. Then we enter the back rooms. Like, then we enter, like, the underground, and now we're sort of in what could be, like, a late-stage Half-Life level in terms of just the detail of the rendering, but all decorated with detritus that is stolen from up above. And then down here, of course, there's also a fully realistic set of escalators, right? So, like, we're experimenting a lot with rendering style and rendering technique, right? Where sometimes objects get to be uncomfortably shiny in a way that's a little bit weird, but then as soon as we enter the backroom offices, the whole rendering, like, it is the rendering style of the Stanley Parable, right? Like, it's something like what you would be able to create with Source Engine nowadays, or Gmod, for that matter. And the entire lighting style changes to this, like, soft, diffuse, graying office lighting. All of the color, the whole color scheme desaturates. It's very effectively done. And little choices like the camera overhead following, like, to enhance that sense of uncanniness and weirdness. And the pictures on the wall just seem to be more pictures of the same environment she's already in, which makes the fact that the wall art in that office with the headset was the one bit of Amazing Digital Circus that seemed to be in the aesthetic there maybe interesting? I don't know. The thing is, I wouldn't be able to get through this level so quickly because I'd be stopping to try and read all the documents in those boxes. Right, like there we have like the one splash of amazingly bright, loud color that exists anywhere. Everything else is like gray, dull, beige, or just pictures of the same environment. Or are they? What's that? That looks like one of the pictures from the Amazing Digital Circus, but just rendered in black and white. Again, I don't know that how much time and effort went into planting background elements like that. Who knows? Have they been pulled out to form a ladder? So someone could climb up? Someone short like Pomni? That's a lot of power strips. That's an equalizer, isn't it? Radio, oscilloscope? Not sure. Does that sign over the door actually say exit? Wouldn't that be funny? CNA, huh? Cave Johnson here. The boys down in the lab told me they've invented a kind of headset gimmick. Nothing but float. Like it looks like the if anyone remembers the loading screen of the PS2, has a little bit of the vibe of that. And then, once again, we swap rendering styles, and now we're in an environment that looks... I think it still has a bit of that late 90s-esque-ness to it, just with the simplicity of the thing. But, like, look at the fucking shiny-ass floors, right? Very, very what Thor High Heels sometimes calls, like, sort of PS3 skung, right? Like, shiny wood, shiny stone. Like a very specific kind of yeah, sort of PS3 era rendering.
Oh, Bubble, you always know how to make me say this exact sentence. Yes!
He didn't have that watch before, by the way. That that's on his wrist for this scene, specifically for the purposes of this scene.
Oh, Bubble, you always know how to make me say...
Oh, there's something profoundly disturbing about seeing through the back of his head.
Me say this exact sentence.
Again, the expressiveness on him, very effective. Even the hat is playing along here, right? Like the way that it's lilting forwards.
Yes! An alert on my wacky watch at this hour?
Don't know that I can read any of that. Don't know that it means anything either.
Oh no! Someone...
Blah. Blah. When you nut and she keeps suck...
Oh no!
Sorry.
Someone's venturing out into the void!
The void!
Void! They'll get totally...
They'll get totally spoiled, which again... So we are definitely doing the meta-narrative thing. We're definitely doing the meta-commentary thing of like, oh, it's a story, they'll get spoiled on the ending thing. Of like, yeah. Or at least that he conceptualizes this as a grand story that he's telling them that has a specific ending, right?
Spoiled!
That's a very nice little teleportation animation. Literally just collapsing into himself.
There you go! Now what the heck
Ah,
happened
the
around
horrors.
Here? Oh, yeah. My doing.
Kane! Kaufmo went through a sort of kaufmosis and abstracted!
Kaufmo abstracted? Why didn't anybody tell me?
Fucking sound effects.
And into the cellar you go.
Man, I can't believe Kaufmo just gave up like that. I mean, no offense,
I mean, is it giving up or is it a form of resistance, I wonder?
Kinger, but I always thought you would be next.
Thank you.
Guess it just goes to show you can't rely on Kinger for anything.
Sweet. Interesting psychology on the horny-ass fuck rabbit over there. No, seriously, some people are going absolutely fuck off feral for this guy. Like, I'll tell you right now, there are levels of horny fan art for this motherfucker that none of it, like, you would not have imagined in your worst nightmares or your horniest dreams. You can just tell. You can just tell.
Man,
I like the walk cycle on Zooble. Like bow-legged, kind of waddly. And again, there's that issue of like, how do we draw attention to Zooble and their speech, right?
Man, I can't believe Kaufmo just gave up like that.
The sound design is doing a good job of helping that also. Like, I can hear it with headphones. I don't know if you can hear it on speakers, but...
Man, I can't believe Kaufmo just gave...
But, like, as their head is being removed from Kinger over to the left, there's a little stereo shift to sort of keep it placed in the scene, which is, like, standard audio mixing for this kind of thing. Like, sometimes you'll get shows where the audio mixing is kept more centered to be more audible.
Like that. I mean, no offense, Kinger, but I always thought you would be next.
Thank you.
Guess it just goes to show you can't rely on Kinger for anything.
I am in so much pain!
I do have to apologize for lying about the exit. I knew how much all of you have been wanting there to be one, but, you know, I was having so much trouble figuring out what to put on the other side and ended up never quite finishing it. And you know how I never like letting people see my unfinished work, especially if it leads you out into the void. Anyway, looks like you defeated the Gloik Queen, so I guess the adventure's over. Your reward is a delicious digital feast cooked by our head bubble chef.
Made with all the love I'm legally allowed to give.
That implies that there's a lot more love that you want to give.
You know, I am pretty hungry.
You didn't even do anything.
So what? I can still be hungry.
Well, not really, because we don't need to eat, drink, or sleep in this digital world. So the digital food... Kane!
You would be next.
Thank you.
Guess it just goes to show you can't rely on Kinger for anything.
I am in so much pain!
Very nice glitch animation on her. That's not how snaps work, by the way. That's not how snaps work at all. What the hell? He snapped. Like, okay, well, yeah. Interesting visual connection being drawn between Pomni's hand and Ragatha. Object of shame, I suppose.
I do have to apologize.
I do have to apologize. It's genuinely very impressive that it is at all possible to follow his lip sync
Do have to
when he's a character like that.
apologize for lying about the exit. I knew how much all of you have been wanting there to be one, but, you know, I was having so much trouble figuring out what to put on the other side and ended up never quite finishing it. And you know how I never like letting people see my unfinished work, especially if it leads you out into the void.
They do like that dolly zoom a lot.
Looks like
There is such a thing as overusing the dolly zoom. It's very effective, but you can't do it all the time.
you defeated the Gloit Queen, so I guess the adventure's over. Your reward is a delicious digital feast cooked by our head bubble chef.
Made with all the love I'm legally allowed to give.
You know, I am pretty hungry.
You didn't even do anything.
So what?
Do they ever get their comedy mask back? I don't know their gender.
What? I can still be hungry.
Well, not really, because we don't need to eat, drink, or sleep in this digital world. So the digital food here only gives off the virtual sensation of eating without any of the nutritional benefits.
Sheesh, lay off it. Since when are you an expert on the digital world?
Expert on the what?
Super low poly. Clipping into itself ass. That's funny. I noticed that nobody's eating. I also noticed that this is set up... This is set up like a Last Supper. Oh, hang on. The tracking on my 3D model has stopped working. Let me just see if I can calibrate that. Nope. Okay, I'm going to have to restart the tracking. Hello, little tracker. Could you please try again? Oh, God, I can move again. Wonderful. It's set up very much like a sort of Last Supper kind of situation. With everyone on the same side of the table. Which I guess would make Pomni Jesus, but... with an even number of people at the table, there can't be anyone at the center. And they don't seem to be directly mirroring the like, at least Da Vinci's Last Supper. They don't seem to be directly mirroring the poses and postures. Still interesting. Yeah, obviously. Very recursive. Very recursive. One thing I do note, though, that in Pomni's version of that office, no sunlight. Interesting. Yes, indeed. Let's see the credits. Gooseworks. Kevin... I beg your forgiveness, Lerdwich? Lewichigal? Lewichigal. I'm sorry. That's beyond my linguistic capability at the moment. I don't know what language it's from. Jasmine Yang. Oh, that's cute. Those are adorable. Adorable little walk animations. So, Pomni, Lizzie Freeman, Kane, Alex Rohan, Roshan, Michael Kovac, Huffert, Resolenti, Sean Chiplock. I know that name. I fucking know that name. Okay, pulling up IMDb. Let's see. Freeman. She's most... Oh, she was in Earth Defense Force. Nice. That's cool. Let's see. Bunch of video game voice acting. Oh, that's a long-ass history. No, it's not a long-ass history. It's just a fucking massive list of credits. It goes back to 2012, though. Let's see. My Little Portal. I guess it was a My Little Pony Portal parody kind of thing. She voiced Rarity. She's been in a bunch of... Yeah, it looks like she's been in a bunch of My Little Pony fan animation things. Homestar Runner meets My Little Pony. She voiced something in. She put a voice to Fire Emblem Heroes. Love Nikki. Cool. Secret of Mana. Fist of the North Star, Dragalia Lost, Maple Story, God Eater, Sword Art Online, Kakegurui, Lupin the Third. That's a pretty good credit to have. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Nice. Pokemon Masters. That's a hell of a... This is a working-ass working voice actor. Damn, that's an impressive list of credits. This is someone who's put in the fucking work. Like, a few roles in 2012, 13, 14, 15. But then right around, like, 2019, good lord. Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, Digimon Adventures. Genshin Impact. Monster Girl Doctor. Really? In that one? Oh my. Oh, she voiced Kunai for that. Cells at Work Code Black. Cool. ReZero. Nier Replicant. Tokyo Revengers in 2021. That's awesome. Sorry, I'm just going to look at the IMDb page here. Oh, she voiced Frey Randall in My Next Life as a Villainess. In the English version. Cool. More Lupin the Third. And still doing, like, web animation things also, clearly. Yeah. Actual role on the mainline Pokemon TV show. Cool. My love story with Yamada-kun at level 999. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as additional voices. Unicorn Overlord. Cool. Duck Detective. Persona 3 Reload. Slitterhead. Fazbear and Friends as Pomni. Okay, what the fuck is that? Is this some kind of web animation thing? I guess it must be. Looks that way. Mickey Mouse Funhouse. And then, of course, the amazing Digital Circus. Cool. Sorry, this is going to take a while. I just want to look at these IMDb's. Let's see. Alex Rochon. Not nearly as long a list of credits, but that doesn't speak against. Fazbear and Friends, Poppy Playtime. Oh, cool. Cabin Tales, Monkey Wrench. Yeah, Fazbear and Friends again. Done some editing work as well. But yeah, a list like this probably wouldn't cover like incidental YouTube videos and things like that. So who knows how much work he's done otherwise. Let's see. Right, Michael Kovac did the fucking voice for Angel Dust. Like in the yeah. Let's see. Pretty long list of credits. Yeah. Yeah, one episode of Hazbin Hotel, the pilot. Cookie Run Kingdom. That's not bad. Poppy Playtime. Lackadaisy Comic Dubs. Another Fast Bears and Friends. Oh, there's a lot here. Bunch of online web animation. Oh, they did the voice for Rocky on Lackadaisy. Cool. Solitude and Calls Everyone. And then they've done a bunch of work for Glitch, it looks like. Murder Drones. They showed up on. Lumi and the Great Big Galaxy. Gaslight District. Catching Up. Huh, interesting. Let's see. Amanda Hufford. Oh, this looks like another solid. So Warframe, Smite. That's a pretty good place to start. Back in 2014. Did some voice for Arkham City as Vicky Vale for the TV series. Oh, cool. Genshin Impact. Yakuden Sekai no Denchi Shoujo. Goddess of Victory Nike. Pain Girl, The Art of Murder, Dark Day 82. Oh, cool. I have that game. And Date Everything as Rebel, Michaela, and Mickey. Oh. Let's see. Marissa Lenti. Another bunch of video game voice acting credits, it looks like. Ooh, this is a... oh my god, that's a long fucking ass list of credits as well. Holy shit. All the way back to 1997? God damn. Where she used to do some voices for Digimon in the early 2000s. Fist of the North Star. She did a voice on One Piece, of all things. As Sadi. Heroes of New Earth. Holy shit, really? Oh, there's a game I haven't thought about in many years. Kyoka Smite Wasteland 2? Oh, cool. Garo the Animation. To Love Ru Darkness. Brilliant Shadows. Attack on Titan Junior High. Divine Gate Adventures Academy. That's a fucking solid ass list of credits. That's another voice actor who's been putting in the work. Paladins. Monster Hunter Stories. Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, Abridged. She was in the Abridged? Was that the Team 4-Star Abridged? Yes, it was. Yes, it was indeed. She voiced Shamo in that one. Torment, Tides of Numenera. Oh, cool. And Ms. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, Kemono Friends. Damn, this is an impressive list of credits. Ruby, Brawl Stars, Death Battle, Dragon Ball Super, the actual official one. A Hat in Time. Final Fantasy VII Machine Abridged. More work with Team 4-Star there. Card Captor Sakura, Darling in the Franxx. Damn. Yandere Dev. Cutie Honey Universe. SSSS Gritman. Oh. Senran Kagura. City Hunter. Oh, that's cool. Boogie Pup, the quintessential quintuplets. Ace Attorney for the TV series. Fairy Tale. Dr. Stone. Borderlands 3. Mobile Legends, even. Black Clover. Lots of anime voice acting coming in here. Cautious Hero. The hero is overpowered but overly cautious. Now there's an isekai if I ever heard one. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. This is a long list of credits. Holy shit. Genshin Impact again. Ruby again. Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle. Aw, I loved that anime. Attack on Titan. Cookie Run Kingdom. Honey Pup. More Ruby. Horimiya. Oh, sweet. Dark Deity. Chris Tales. The Prince of Tennis. Pokemon, the mainline series. Pokemon Evolutions. Fazbear and Friends. Tiny Tina's Wonderland. V Rising. I get so many promotional emails for V Rising. They keep sending me free codes for the game. I've never played it. Well, I have played it with a friend one time, but I've never made content about it. Goddess of Victory Nika, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Crisis Core, In Another World with My Smartphone, Konosuba, Honkai Star Rail, Street Fighter 6, Dragonair Silent God, Astral Ascent, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Fallen Aces, Senless Zone Zero, Dark Deity 2, and of course, The Amazing Digital. That's a fucking impressive ass. That's an impressive ass fucking list of credits, and that's just the voice acting. Holy shit, this person has done work. They've been casting director, and they've done writing as on the adaptations of Record of Ragnarok, Kemono Friends, Digimon Adventure. Oh, that's very cool. There's a person with a motherfucking career. Holy shit. Let's see, Chiplock. Oh, that's why. He was Rivali in Breath of the Wild. That's why. Here's another list of credits 400 million miles long. All the way back to 2003. Heroes of New Earth, again! Saint Seiya, Sword Art Online, Dust and Elysian Tale. I remember that game. This is cool. Earth Defense Force 2025. That was back in 2013. Smite, Freedom Planet, Wasteland 2, The Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel, Alt Noah 0. That was actually kind of an interesting anime. Didn't like the protagonist by the end of it. Dragon Ball Super, Hellsing Ultimate Abridged. Very nice. Ys 8, Persona 5 as Yuki Mishima. Cool. Paladins, Valkyria Revolution. Oh, fun. And then Rivali and Breath of the Wild. Kuroko's Basketball, Yandere Simulator. Fire Emblem Echo, Shadows of Valentia. Cool. Kagegurui, Trails of Cold Steel 3. Champion's Ballad, obviously, for Breath of the Wild. Seiyodanshi. Secret of Mana. Identity V, Gundam Build Divers, Detective Conan, God of War? Octopath Traveler. More Trails of Cold Steel. Maple Story. Bunch of anime. Ace Combat 7. Oh, cool. Wargroove. Catherine Fullbody. Mortal Kombat 11. Demon Slayer. One Punch Man. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Pokemon Masters, Astral Chain, Carol and Tuesday. I still need to watch that fucking anime. The Somnium Files, Persona 5 Royal, The God of High School, Legends of Runeterra as the Kindly Tavern Keeper. Aww. Dorohedoro, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Cloudpunk, Mortal Kombat 11, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Titan's Bride, Wasteland 3, right, of course, Violet Evergarden, nice, Genshin Impact, Burn the Witch, Mr. Versatile. Miles Morales. Hyrule Warriors as Rivali again. Cookie Run Kingdom, ReZero. Fucking hell, man. Odd Taxi, damn! Guilty Gear Strive. Moriarty the Patriot. That show should have been better than it was. Too bad. Aliens Fireteam. Demon Slayer. Sword Art Online. Poppy Playtime. Demon Turf. Halo Infinite. Comey Can't Communicate. Lost Ark, Horizon Forbidden West, VeggieTales. Megaton Girl, Corpse Factory. Boruto, hey! Asher Striker Gunvolt, Freedom Planet, Lycoris Recoil, God of War Ragnarok, Midnight Suns, Tactics Ogre, Crisis Core, even more Legend of Heroes, Octopath Traveler 2, Tears of the Kingdom as Teba, yeah, Street Fighter 6, as a random citizen, granted not as a fighter, but still. Starfield, Spider-Man 2, Astral Ascent, Grand Blue Fantasy, Lego Fortnite, Persona 3 Reload, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Blue Exorcist, Garuden, The Way of the Lone Wolf, Duck Detective, Murder Drones, so we see they're working with Glitch now at this point. Uzumaki, huh. Beastars, nice. ReZero, Blue Box Death Battle, Offering My Virginity to a Gangster, there's a title of a thing. Fatal Fury, more Duck Detective, Beyblade X, cool. There's some fucking working ass voice act. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna keep going with this. I'm fascinated. I don't know if there's any point recording all of this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Wait, really? Oh my god, Ashley Nichols. That's cool. Oh, she was an animator and a cleanup artist on Has-Been Hotel, like the pilot, I think it must have been, 2019. And she was an animator on the Dover Boys Reanimated. That's very cool. She's done a bunch of animation work. Lackadaisy as a cleanup lead. And a cleanup on the animation on Animaniacs, the reboot series. Oh, that's cool. She's going to be in Billy Bust Up as well. She's done Lazy on Lackadaisy, but Zooble is like her first major voice credit. Interesting. And then the composer Gooseworks is doing Bubble and a few additional voices. What else has Gooseworks composed for? Can I see that on IMDb? Yes. Let's see. They've done some composition for Hell of a Boss, Suphobia, so they've worked with Vivsi for a long time there. They've done a bunch of composition for Has-Been Hotel itself. Okay, yeah. Oh, right. That's true. I think I remember that. They've done some directing work as well. Nothing I recognize, but still, that's cool. Let's see. Elsie Lovelock. Ooh, here's another list. Damn. 207 credits. Fucking hell. Wait, no. Really? Oh, no. Okay, that's something else. Okay, Cannon Fodder. That was... It's an OVA adaptation. I thought it was Cannon Fodder, the video game. Like, I didn't know that would have had... Holy shit, she voiced Cannon in League of Legends. This is fucking Cannon's voice. Yeah, Smite, Heroes of Newerth, Warframe, Black Desert Online, Fallout 4, well, it's an online web series kind of thing, Paladins, Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, very nice, Fire Emblem Heroes. God damn, there's a lot. Fortnite Rap Battle Royale as herself. Raid Shadow Legends. Oh, someone was gonna have to be a voice on that at some point. Wargroove, Genesis, Yokai Kitchen, Mobile Legends, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, Machine Abridged Final Fantasy, working more with Team 4-Star, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Let's see. Oh, did some work for the Angry Video Game Nerd, even. A bunch of web animation, Honeypop, Sunset Paradise, Chivalry 2. Dark Deity again. Dark Deity seems to be like really a sort of like connecting factor in the voice acting credits of all these people. Poppy Playtime. Another, again, Fazbear and Friends as well. There seems to be like an ecosystem there. Death Battle, V Rising. The Excavation of Hobbs Barrow. I still need to play that. Goddess of Victory, Nika. Ravenbound. Interesting. Baldur's Gate 3 as well-preserved corpse. Oh, they did a Warhammer... They're fucking Cassia in Warhammer 40k. The Rogue Trader in Rogue Trader. Oh, nice. Aedan Chronicle. Cryptmaster. Elder Scrolls Online. Zenless Zone Zero. World of Warcraft. Space Marine 2. They did some additional voice work for. Starstruck Hands of Time. There's some really impressive fucking voice credits. Metaphor Refantasio. Dragon Quest 3 remake. More Warframe. Again, Dark Day 82. Again, offering my virginity to a gangster. Just fucking impressive ass lists of credits here. Robin French on the storyboarding, layouting. Yeah, Jared Rumble, Pepe Le Pays. Look development, Max Ruland. Lots of work for Gooseworks. Storyboarder is Niddle Lay. Oliver Marr. Jared Rumble and Shot Production Manager. 2D artists, Gooseworks and Alicia Howard. Max Rudland, 3D. Guillaume Coquelin, I think. Jonathan Carotto. Texturing and surfacing artists. They will have had a hell of a job on this fucking show. Let me tell you. Wonderful walk cycles. Environment artist lead rigger. Mark Humphreys. Mark Humphreys, tell me how the fuck you did any of this. I want to know the secrets of Pomni's rig in particular. Brian Pan, Evan Huang, Yuni Aduna. Lead animator Kevin Temmer. Hell of a job the animators are doing here. A 2D animator. Good, so they were 2D animated like that. Okay, cool. Unreal Engine 5 and Houdini VFX artist. Okay, cool, so that's how they're doing it. Unreal Engine, I guess. Motion graphics, Steve Buscemi. Post-production lead Armin Haig. Abigna Cavale for the post-production. Sofia Martinez, Abigna Cavale. Jerry Sui. Jared Rumble. Ethan Makanaki? Makanaki, I think? Max Rudland, Selena May, Alicia Howard. I'm not going to remember any of these names, but I do want to make a point out of observing them. Ethan McConaughey, yeah, again. Stephen D'Amato for physics simulation and rigid body destruction. And fluid simulation, render technician Yusui. Compositing and After Effects VFX, there must have been a fuck lot of that. Color grading, Dean Buscemi. Good work on the color grading, Mr. Buscemi. Or person Buscemi. I don't know their gender. Liz Robinette, Epic Mountain, doing a lot of the mastering and sound design. Distribution, marketing directors, marketing manager, marketing officers, marketing artists, merch designer, merch manager, merch officer, senior merch designer, production and admin assistant, assistant producer. With some special thanks to Epic Games, specifically. Huh. Very sweet. Well, I'll watch at least one more episode of that. Not right now. Not right now. We've been going for almost 3 hours. Okay, hey chat, I couldn't see you for a while, because I was looking at the IMDb page, so I don't know what you've been saying to me. Check Kevin Temmer's YouTube's for BTS stuff. Oh, I should do that. Worth bearing in mind, this is the worst the animation gets. This was the pilot. It's all up from here. Yeah, I would imagine so. Mostly reacting to surprise VA roles. Yeah, like there's some fucking impressive ass credits on those voice actors. I tell ya what. I do want the show to stop overusing the dolly zoom with Pomni. Like the dolly zoom is a very, very high impact. Like this is a dolly zoom, right? And the way that that's achieved with a camera is like you change the zoom level while you move the camera at the same time so that you keep the subject in the same position, but like the whole environment around them shifts in this way. It was made famous in Jaws, right? Like where you get that shot where the character realizes that the shark is in the water, and there's like you get that sense of the world distorting. It's very, very effective to depict a character who's derealizing or who's like not feeling present in themselves, or for whom the world is kind of shifting around them in some kind of profound way, but it really loses its impact if you do it too much. They've done it like 4 times in this fucking episode for Pomni alone, which is like, that's too many. It loses the impact, and then it starts becoming kind of tedious. So that's a criticism I have, I guess. But yeah, I'm curious. I don't really care that much about the deep lore yet. Because I don't know what it's setting up for. Like, I don't know if it's the whole deep lore thing about how they're inside of the computer and it's the void, and it's like, and the computer was also inside of the computer, and what are these meta layers of narrative? Like, I don't really care about that yet because I don't know what it's trying to say, right? When you have these isekai narratives, like these portal fantasies of like being transported to an alternate world, there's a lot of different things you can do with that. Given that the shot lingered on Pomni sort of clearly feeling some kind of fucking way about her new body that she's stuck in now, it's very easy to imagine that there's some kind of subplot in there about, like, feeling derealized within your own flesh, right? Like, feeling like your body is not your own, or that the world is like an absurd playhouse that you're being forced into to play a role in like stories that other people have written for you. Like, you could definitely do like a trans narrative or any kind of dissociative identity narrative around Pomni being stuck in a world that doesn't obey any rules and which she is barred from leaving, right? Like, she literally cannot get herself out of the body she doesn't want to be in. You could definitely do something like that. And there seems to be like the representation across the characters, right? Is like you have these different archetypes of like, how do you cope with being stuck in absurdity, right? So you can do a thing about like, oh, this is a parable about life, right? Like, life in itself is inherently absurd. Everything is fucked up. The rules don't matter. Like, the powerful can do whatever the fuck they want and we have no power against them. How do you cope with that? Where you get like total people pleasing and attempting to accept everything, checking completely out of everything and like, I don't care, or being actively antagonistic just because it's funny, that style of nihilism, sort of checking out and just like sort of feeling annoyed. We don't really have enough characterization for Zubul yet to know exactly what their deal is, right? Retreating into fantasy and madness. You know, there's like, we could do a thing about like, these are different ways of coping with absurdity and people trying to find each other. Right, like building some kind of connection, building some kind of family, building some kind of anything in the face of total absurdity. Like, there's many things you can do with it, but the deep lore, like what's the actual secret of the CNA Corporation and where they, like, I don't really care about that yet. I will start to care about that the moment it becomes relevant to who these people are and what the story is trying to say. So on this channel, if you want it, I'm not really gonna do theories like that. Like, unless and until it becomes meaningful or relevant. Like, the only thing I could see it gesturing towards now is that the environment of the CNA Corporation or whatever, like the real world, whatever that is, it's a very gray, sterile office environment where nothing ever happens. There's like corporate oppression and misery, cubicle life, all of that shit. And the Amazing Digital Circus is the polar opposite of that, which is to say it's bright, colorful, everything's absurd, something happens every day all the time. Like, there's this element of escapism to it. So like, maybe that's just where they're going, but yeah. it's definitely this is definitely the kind of show that Matt Pat in his prime could have made a million videos about, right? But that's not really what's interesting me about it. I'm interested in the animation technique on display, because there really is a lot of interesting animation technique on display. I do notice that nobody's eating. I'm interested in the animation technique on display, and I'm interested in the character acting and the characters. So I think that's probably what I'm going to be focusing on if I'm keeping going on this. But we've crested 3 hours now. Fuck, I need to end this. I need to stop it. So if you want early access to things, become a member of the channel. Or don't. I don't know, man. You spent 3 hours of your life on this. Maybe you don't make super rational decisions with your money. Maybe you should let someone else have your credit card for a while. Don't spend your money on this. Go outside. Touch the grass. Don't become like me.